Okay, we all set, Alex?
Yes, we are.
All right, Kenny, you want to do the pledge?
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if anybody's got their cell phones on, please mute them so we don't hear it on the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, let's take a look at the meeting minutes from January 5th. We had 18 computer on there and a discussion. I went down through the minutes. I have no changes or anything to be corrected on my behalf. Anybody?
I do not.
I'm good.
I'm good.
You okay with the added portion in the discussion?
I am.
I'll make a motion then to approve the meeting minutes as amended.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay. What are we looking at, Alex, for the address? I'd like to look at the Nash subdivision. Is that how it's labeled?
It is 3 Nash Place.
3 Nash Place. RJ, would you like to give us an update on where it stands?
My understanding is that the applicant has received their variances required based on the plan they submitted.
Yep.
And the project really just needs to be scheduled for a public hearing at this point.
Okay. Alex, availability for a public hearing would be, and having enough time for notice?
I just need 10 days for notice. So the next planning board meeting is February 2nd, which is 2 weeks from today. Or it'd be the 16th. Either one of those are available.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion? Which one what we want to do?
Well, is that going to be
Yep.
sufficient time, RJ, if we make it on the 2nd for you to have a discussion with them about the map and such?
Yeah, because the map's not going to change. It's just you want to see something as presented. And again, I mean, I'm going to share with them what I put together, and they as far as I'm concerned, they can use that.
So let's do it at the next meeting.
The short answer is yes.
All right, so let Alex schedule it for February 2nd. And what will it be, 6:30?
6:30.
Very good. Okay, if they're not on with us here, let them know that it's been scheduled, so.
Does that work for you, John?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That works for me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. What's my sheet say here? We got 1586 Central Avenue, DePaula car dealership. What I'd like to do is our engineer has done a review letter on it. If you don't mind, RJ, I'd like you to go down through that. And there may be additional things that board members would like to add to it. So if we could start there, unless the applicant wants to put in more information, I think we can go right to the review. Is that a yes? It's good?
That's fine with me.
Yep.
Got it?
I just asked him to.
There we go.
Yeah, I just got unmuted. Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, I just wanted to let you know that I'm Frank Palumbo. I'm with CT Mail Associates.
Yep.
And that's what we wanted to come here tonight for, is to find out any items that the board had. We did receive RJ's letter, and before following up on that, we just wanted to make sure there weren't any other comments.
All right, so RJ, I'll let you go through your letter, and the board will follow you if we got anything else to inform them on the site, okay?
Okay, so well, obviously, I mean, so there were a couple items just within the application itself, relatively minor things that are easily get taken care of. One of the things, though, is a narrative that should be updated, I believe, because unless I'm mistaken, when there's a second story being added to this structure. And is that correct, Frank?
Well, what it is, RJ, it's using interior space. So we are, it's almost like a, gosh, the words escape me.
Mezzanine.
A loft
Mezzanine?
area.
Loft, yeah.
What was, I'll ask the architect. How would you describe it?
Mezzanine,
Okay.
we were
Mezzanine. That was the word I was looking for. Thank
Right.
you.
Okay, so it just needs to be clear in the narrative because there is additional floor space and theoretical.
And we also know that you'll get to it, that there's floor plans that you required, and that'll indicate what that is.
Right. So a couple things. I didn't have anything major. Site statistics need to be added to the plan. The parking arrangement, what's the dedicated parking, what's customer spaces, what's I'm going to call it vehicle storage spaces, stock vehicles. Parking dimensions. I mean, I know a lot of this is on the plan, or excuse me, I know a lot of this stuff is in place already, but we have some new things, so we'll need those dimensions.
Now, it's good point. We hadn't had a site statistics, table on there. We'll add that and get that all shown.
And particularly any vehicle display areas, there was none really shown. There's some additional parking placed in front of the building, which I'm sure the commission might want to talk about, but just I'm gonna say on the water and sewer, there's some technical issues of how you're going to run that. Using wall sleeves and making sure we're not, putting foundation walls on top of it on the sewer. Same with the water. And typically we would need any elevation change. Since the elevation is changing, just the color scheme and everything else, the materials that are going to be used for the building. And really, that's all I had on this one, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Let me run down a few things because we've had other dealerships in there. The actual plans that we stamped, Frank, on this was had been requesting some notes beyond those. One was that there'd be no service work performed outside the building as one. No outside speakers on the building. Again, not just a narrative, but we'd like to see a note on the plan for it. Whether or not you are reducing lighting after closing hours, I think that was done on one of the other dealerships. So I'm kind of looking at this as if we'll have a whole new site plan. This will be the one that's approved and it'll be your project. So I'm just trying to get these things added to it. RJ's the square footage, you're going to do the statistics and so forth. There should have been a landscape plan with the last proposal. I'd like to see it to be part of this plan, put it together so that we got a full set that's the one we could stamp to be the final site plan. So, and only one last thing that RJ had brought up about the parking in the front. Could you offhand tell me from your property line to the edge of those first 9 spaces, I think they are, do you know what a distance that is?
Not offhand, Chris, but we'll make a point to
Get
show
that on
that.
there. Okay. Because I'm also
Chris,
seeing,
when I took their map and I took out the scale, I got approximately 70 feet from the property line to the edge of the cutout for parking.
is
So
that that's from pavement though, John?
Excuse me?
Was that from pavement, from the central, or from their actual property line?
I took it from there, the dark solid black line
Yep.
to
Okay.
where the parking started. And I got approximately 75 feet.
Yep. Okay. In my opinion, there's a lot of green space there. That's good. I was a little nervous about where those are going to add, but I don't know that I'll have a problem with it myself. And as I look at it, the contours are important. It appears to be that those are 3-foot high berms from the parking areas.
Yes,
So,
yes,
and they will stay in place. That'll be
that's the intent
Yeah.
of the plan.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Does anybody have anything else you'd like to add on to that?
I'm assuming these are new and used cars or just new cars?
I believe it's all new and used. I mean, I think that's commonly a standard model for any dealership now, to have some used cars, but I can confirm that.
Yeah, I mean, I would just put that in the narrative that they're new and used, and then are you going to be doing? I'm assuming you're going to be doing all the maintenance in the building.
Yes, if no one's been in this building before, one thing that's very impressive is the maintenance area. As you probably are aware, it was originally a progressive building, and I guess dealing with cars that needed to be inspected for damage and everything else, they made quite the it's quite a impressive interior machine or shop area. So they have no need to be doing anything outside.
So you know that the doors in the maintenance area would have to be closed when you're doing your work.
They understand that. It's well prepared for that.
What actually happened once before on this, Frank, is we did have a neighbor that recorded some work being done outside the building. I will say when it was brought to the dealership, they corrected it. So that's why, again, I'd like to have the note on there so that that's what we can rely on. So, Victor, anything?
No, I'm fine.
Yeah,
I
just
got
one
a
quick
question.
thing. Oh, go ahead, Kenny.
Yeah,
Frank, is there anything on the lighting plan that lights will be diminished after a certain hour at night?
I think that was similar to a question that was just asked, and we will talk with the owner regarding that. I think, I'm not positive, but I think there may already be something in place for that purpose. But we can also work with the electrical contractor to determine and make a final decision on that. I don't think that the applicant would have a problem with that. It's become a fairly standard thing to reduce the lighting at night.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Dan Judge. Just a question. The electrical vehicle charging stations. I'm looking at, from what I've seen, during 2 of them.
It actually, I want to double check that because I think we put 2 on there, but I think there might actually be room for 3.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because everybody's pushing for them now. So I see them popping up. Are they the ones that you're putting in on the drone? I can't tell. Are they designated? In other words, they're not pulling up and just pulling on a fire lane or anything, right? Are they designated for electric charging?
Yes.
Okay. Question.
Dan,
I don't know how. One other question on the chart. I don't know how they work. Can anyone use them, or are they charging? Do you charge money for them, or do you put a credit card? How do they work?
I'll get you more detail on that. I think that they are, specifically geared towards someone who would be coming to the site, interested in, they may already have purchased an electric charging vehicle and want to charge. But I'll get more detail on that for you.
Thank you so much.
Dan?
Yes.
I believe, going back to RJ's letter, I think RJ, you wanted those delineated and you didn't hit that one, so.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? Any more?
yeah, I have one question.
Yep.
Yeah, in the narrative, they make a statement that there'll be no change to the pavement, but then on the site plan, they're adding those 9 spaces. I guess we just can't have it both ways. So if we can eliminate that from the narrative.
Right, and when we were doing the working on the site statistics chart that we referenced earlier from RJ's letter, that was something, I think what we were looking at was the percentage of impervious was, didn't tip it when you took it as a whole, but obviously you are correct. There is an increase. So I think the percentage
Okay.
didn't change, but the numbers actually did increase.
Okay,
We'll be more clear about that.
good enough.
Anybody? Anything else?
I do not.
All
I
right.
do not.
I had one other thing, Chris.
Yep, Jim.
You noted that there won't be any connections to public water or sewer. Is that new taps
That is new taps. We are using the existing service.
using the existing? Is that, okay, I wasn't clear exactly what the question was.
No, good. That's good
Refers to
point.
new taps though, you're saying?
Good
Okay,
point. We are already tapped in there.
okay.
All right. I assume you'll go back and make changes and get back with Alex as to when you'd be ready.
Well, one thing I would maybe just talk a little bit about the process. I wasn't sure whether or not modification of a site plan required a public hearing. And if so, whether or not you feel, even though we have to make some changes to the plans, whether or not you would feel comfortable in scheduling a public hearing now so that we could,
Yep.
get RJ the things, the responses, get a second review, and then be ready at the next meeting for any public comment that might
Yeah.
come in.
Okay. I believe, and any of the board members and consultants can correct me. It's a commercial entity. We will not require public hearing.
Okay.
Correct.
Then I will follow your lead there and say, we will get things to RJ as quickly as possible, a resubmission. And I'm sure that he'll have it back to us in a day or so. And,
Yeah. I'm just waiting around, Frank, just waiting.
All
I
right.
want to leave the real tough ones for more time for you. So
Thank you. All right, well, it's gonna bump Catherine's.
I'll tell her you said so.
All right. We good?
Well, thank you very much. And we will get back to you soon.
Very good.
Hey, Frank.
Good night.
Okay, 1440 Central Avenue. Have our applicant here. Gonna unmute.
I'm unmuted.
I think I'm all
There we
set.
There we go.
All right, good. Okay. Unless you have more that you want to present than what you put through, I was gonna do the same as have RJ go through his review letter.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Did I do a
RJ.
review letter on this one?
What's that?
I don't believe I did a review letter on this one, right? No.
Just a review.
Yeah, no, I mean, basically, the plan is just converting what I'm gonna call was previously the storage space in the former, what was it, the dress barn?
Yeah.
To all retail space now. And
Correct.
the checkout counter has been relocated to the new space and removed from the original space there. Other than that, I think I did send Alex a couple comments to you, right, in an email, but parking requirements a little different. I think they need 95 spaces instead of whatever was listed. That's about it. The application itself doesn't really speak to this change. Looks like it was just kind of a resubmission of the previous one. I'm guessing. I didn't read it.
Our first application was what we called deemed phase one. It was an attempt to, means to try to use the space as effectively and efficiently as we could for the holidays, which it definitely served its purpose, having an area for us to store extra inventory for relatively the short time. It was advised that you'd like us to resubmit the zoning again for our what we call phase two, and that's what we've done. But yeah, and our ultimate goal was what you see in front of you now.
There was two applications that I saw in the packet or packets of information. As I said earlier, one of them said 111 parking spots and the other one said 90 parking spaces. Is that because they were submitted at different times, the two different numbers? And RJ, again, you're kind of stating that 90 is what our code would say?
I think it was 95. I'm just trying to go back and find my notes on that.
Yeah.
But you're right. The application also says there's storage, it still indicates that there's warehouse space. And
Yeah.
no longer really any warehouse space. It's all going to be considered retail now.
The application that has 111 parking spaces was the one that they took RJ's comment and redid the parking. So those are the correct numbers that they altered with, they took out the warehouse space.
Oh, okay.
It was what we were considering the back storage area too, was the confusion, I guess, but
Yep.
it's, I think the architect
Okay.
and revisited it, I guess.
Okay. Hence the two numbers, okay?
Correct.
All right. Victor, looking at what we have, and again, the town of Colony obviously has the majority of the parking lot dedicated. So it's a little, we say 90 or 111, I guess we're using is the number that they need. It's a little ambiguous to try and figure what the town has for the rest of the parking space. And I guess I'll open it up to the rest of the board too, is I don't envision there's an issue for parking as I've seen that parking lot. I guess I'm looking for comments on that. Anybody have issues?
Can I ask whether or not the town has been notified of this application?
Did they?
They were
Did you?
not, as it's a tenant change.
Did you not actually apply to the town first and then went sent to the village?
I applied initially for phase one to the town because we actually thought we existed in the town. After some time, we realized that we were in the village and then went and physically picked up our application and brought it to the village from the town.
Yep.
We've been there for 12 years now through, certainly strong growth cycle for us. The store's done well in its location. But I mean, just for instance, there's never been an issue, with parking spaces. I don't know exactly, the town village, I'm not sure how that all fades into one another in that property.
Well, actually, I think, Victor, that's was the answer I was going to give you, was I know that it went to the wrong office first. So that they were aware of it before it coming back to the village. So I don't know if that would suffice for notification for them, that they were aware of the project. Because typically within 500 feet, we notify them.
Right. Again, you're right about that, Chris. And listen, I've been over there a lot and I've never seen a parking issue, but I think your question to me is, how does this play into the town's parking requirements? Where is the demarcation line between where the town ends and the village starts? Again, which is why I asked Alex, I need to see hard copies of these because I can't tell by the PDFs, but I don't think that's going to be a problem, nor do I think that the mere fact that they applied first to the town is the official notice required that we should have. But I understand what Alex is saying too. It's a tenant change.
Right.
But Ron, I don't really see an issue with this. Do you?
No, it's retail to retail.
Right.
So I don't even think that's in my humble opinion, I don't think
Let me ask a question.
notification's required for that.
Yeah.
Going back in history, because there was a shared parking lot, could there ever have been an easement, a cross easement for all the parking so that there was no problem with cross parking in that whole Northway Mall?
John, I remember looking at some of the incredible documents that were filed on this some years ago, and I can't tell you yay or nay in terms of what cross easements were, but there was a lot of work that was put in this because of the being in multiple jurisdictions. But either way, again, like Ron and I just said, you're going from retail to retail. I can't imagine the town would have any problem, but as we all know in the past, when they're not notified of something, sometimes we get letters and requests that we notify them of anything changes. But again, this is a tenant change. It's not a new project. So I don't have an issue with it, nor do I have a major issue with the town being notified.
I
All
mean,
right, anybody have questions?
if it means it, I think it went through all the approval processes in the town up until the building process. So even, I mean, it was so, I'm not even sure if the town realized that we were not in their town, but
Oh.
No, that was well spent time. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody have issues?
I
I
do
do
not.
not.
Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Empire Wine at 1440 Central Avenue, Suite 4A.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, is there anyone opposed? All right, very good.
Thank you
Okay,
Have at it, Brad.
thank you. Appreciate that.
Brad, you just have to
Right.
submit your building permit to the building department and then we'll get you squared away.
Sounds great. Thanks again for all your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
all right,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
okay. Alex? Well, I was gonna ask what's on. Is there anybody that has discussion for something, anything else that we need to look at?
I don't have
Uh,
anything further other than what I had presented to you guys earlier
So you
for
have
the
a
next meeting.
1770
Yes,
and Nash, correct?
as long as they get me what you guys are requesting, yes. Well, yeah,
Right.
we just said the date. So we'll have a public hearing 6:30 Tuesday the 2nd. And then the regular meeting will follow immediately after.
Okay,
So do we assume that DePaula will make it back too?
they got some changes to make. We don't know that, John. We'll get that response.
Okay.
So. All right,
Okay, before we leave,
yes.
Chris and Ron, did you get an email from Paul Goldman, who represents Coles Plaza, 1814 Central?
I was copied on it, yes.
Chris, did you get?
I can't say that I did, but go ahead.
Well, anyway, Mr. Goldman talked to me last week on the 14th of January, and he wanted to set up a meeting. I think he included the mayor, just to talk about, I'm not 100% sure what's going on there, but it is a site plan amendment for an adjustment to the office max space.
Yeah.
And so I haven't gotten back to him. Ron, you got it. You thought it may have been dealing with something else with respect to the vaccine, change in a new vaccination site at 1770, but it isn't.
No, there's two things, and Victoria, we never followed up. I never followed up with you actually after you got back to me. But Chris and I did look at a plan that was submitted at one point for an expansion of the office max portion of that building.
Okay.
And we got back to them saying, it was through a realtor, by the way, I believe, through a realtor. We got back to them saying it's probably going to be a heavy lift because it violates, all sorts of things.
Traffic pattern was horrible.
Traffic, the buffer requirement, etc. But as we always said, you're always free to submit, right?
Yep.
So if that's the project, I think that, they should go the normal route and we have a little conference with them.
Yep.
Person. We never met with them in person. It was just an email type of thing.
I haven't seen anything, so I don't even really know what it's about, other than the fact that he wanted to discuss it,
Right.
but who knows
So-
if it's the same thing? I don't even know.
What I'm gonna suggest is that we not involve the mayor at this point, and that
Okay.
simply, if he wants to meet, that he can email something to you or to whoever. And we'd be happy to sit down and speak with him in our normal fashion, which is usually Chris and I get together with him.
That's fine.
The issue, Victor, maybe you should be there, but just to see what it is they're talking about before we get.
Okay. That's all. I just want to make sure that Chris was aware of it. That's all I've got.
And Patty, rest assured, the mayor does find out that we have a meeting. So, not a problem.
I did speak with Tom about this already. just so you know.
Fine.
So how was
Okay.
Nash? What was he so nasty for? What did you do to him?
Well, we're still on a public meeting.
We're still
Oh,
in the
that's
public
right.
meeting.
Okay.
So, all right. Anybody else?
Nope.
No,
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a
Make
motion.
motion to close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.